How do you get sponsored to fish? The homies. Hello and welcome. What's up, everybody? Thank you for clicking on the video. I'm headed out fishing early in the morning and I have a lot of rod rigging to do, so I thought I'd bring you guys along, show you what I'm gonna get tied on for tomorrow's trip, and we'll hang out and answer some questions as well. Did a little Q&A on Instagram, and I've been going through the comment section here on YouTube and picking out some frequently asked questions. So I thought we'd go over some of that stuff, and I'll show you guys how I'm gonna rig up some of the new setups that we unboxed and paired up in some of the previous videos. If you haven't seen those, go check them out. They're all doing really well. You guys know the deal over here. We are on a mission to hit 100,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Currently sitting somewhere around 10K, but let's go ahead and fill this bar and secure that silver play button. If this is your first time tuning in, I would love to have you guys on board, so consider subscribing to the channel, turn that notification bell on, and let's get this thing ripping so I can color in this bar and we can move on to the next milestone. First things first, I need to spool up some reels with some line. I need to tie some baits onto some reels, and I'm gonna show you guys what I'm gonna be fishing with tomorrow. I have a setup with some old braid on it. I'm gonna switch that out. I'm gonna spool some fresh braid onto my frogging setup, and we're just gonna do a lot of tackle rigging in this video is practically what I'm trying to say. So yeah, stay tuned, strap in, and let's get off into the video. Now, first things first, on this rod right here, I have some braid, and as you can see, it's getting pretty discolored, and I've actually had to cut it off a couple times. I can't remember what happened, but I'm getting low down here, and I've actually reached my monofilament backing. I like to run a monofilament backing below my braid on my reels, and I will talk a little bit more about that later in this video, because I'm actually gonna do the same process for the frog rod that I'm gonna be rigging up so that we can throw the new frog from 6 cents tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. But first things first, this is my topwater walking bait rod, as well as my small square bill or lipless crankbait rod. This is the Lux series from 6 Cents Fishing, 6 foot 9 inch, medium power, moderate fast action. And the braid that's on here is shot. So I'm going to get it off, tie on some fresh braid onto my monofilament backing, and get this thing ready to rock for tomorrow. I've been throwing the Dogma 100 on this a lot lately, doing really well on that bait. But the braid has got to go. The reason I run a monofilament backing is to keep the braid from spinning around the spool once I hook into a fish. There are many benefits to running a monofilament backing. I've gone over some of that stuff in the past in some of my previous rod rigging videos. If you guys are interested in knowing more about why I run a monofilament backing, you can check those out, or I can just talk about it now, actually. A couple reasons. Actually, you know what? Quick change on the fly. I'm looking at this mono and it just looks thrashed, so I'm gonna go ahead and replace the backing as well. So the reason I run a monofilament backing, number one reason, is to keep the braid from spinning around the spool. If you don't have a skeletonized spool and you don't run a backing, when you hook into a fish, the braid will spin around the spool. Some of you guys probably already know this, but there are probably many people out there who don't. And a monofilament backing, putting monofilament on before your braid and then tying the braid onto it and then spooling the braid on top of the mono will help prevent that. And then also another reason why it's a good idea to run a monofilament backing is because it helps you to fill your spool to its maximum capacity without having to burn through your entire supply of braid. So that is another reason, and one of the reasons that I really like running a mono backing as opposed to just throwing some electrical tape. I have people comment all the time on my older setup videos, hey, you know, you can just put electrical tape on there and it'll do the same thing. Yes, I understand, and I have done that in the past, but line conservation is a thing. Braid is expensive, and I try to save as much as possible. So I will run about a third of the spool up with monofilament, and then the rest of it I'll fill up with braid. It's extremely important to run your spools as close to or at maximum capacity. And the reason for that being that they are designed to function with a full spool of line. You will get your optimum performance, your optimum casting distance and accuracy out of your reels if you fill the spool all the way up. Gives them, I don't know, rotating mass, I don't know what you want to call it, something science, big words. But anyways, what it does is it helps you maintain the best possible performance out of your bait casters. And when you're spending the kind of money that you spend on these Shimano's and and the DC technology and all that, you want that thing running at its optimum level. So filling your spool completely with line is something that I always try to do. I don't like running my reels with half a spool of line or anything like that. No. I want the whole thing filled up so that I have that reel running like it's supposed to run, like it was designed to run with a full spool of line. So I run a monofilament backing and I fill up about 1/3 of the spool with that before I tie my braid on. It helps me conserve my expensive line, keeps my reels running nice, and it's just the way for me personally. I'm not saying that's the way you have to do it. I'm not saying it's the only right way, but I'm saying for me, it is the best way. I'm gonna go ahead and get this monofilament reeled onto here, put it over here where I can get some pressure on it. And then once I have a nice layer built up on here of this mono, I'm gonna tie the braid on here with an Alberto knot, connection knot. I'm gonna fill it up the rest of the way with all braid. So you see, chances are you're not gonna cast all the way down to the bottom of the reel every time. So that's why it's okay to run some mono on there first, get some of that reel capacity filled up in advance, and then run some braid on top of it. And you'll never end up hitting the mono unless, of course, you break your braid off multiple times or have to cut your braid off multiple times. So there's that. I've got about maybe 1/4 of the spool filled up with this monofilament. I'm gonna go ahead and cut that now, and the rest is gonna be filled with braid. And now I can be confident that my braid will not spin around the reel if I happen to hook into a nice fish. I use Power Pro V2 braid. I believe this is made by Shimano. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's right. I know my buddy Bad Bass and Adventure would not approve. He does not like Power Pro. Shout outs to you if you're watching, brother. Sorry, but this is actually my jam. This is what I prefer. The V2 Super Slick, actually. I've been using it for a long time and never had any trouble. So that is what I roll with, and that is what I'm going to ride with on here. Generally, 50-pound braid will be the name of the game for me unless I'm going super heavy 65, but I hardly ever go below, or I never go below 50. I'll just be honest. If I'm using braid, it's gonna be 50-pound braid. Come on, these scissors suck. My jugular pliers are there in the boat. Yeah, if I'm using braid, it's gonna be 50-pound braid. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie a little connection knot here. Alberto, here we go. I'm gonna show you guys how to tie a knot. If you wanna know how to tie the Alberto knot, there are a bunch of videos out there showing you the way. There it is right there. Now I'm just gonna clip off my tag ends if these scissors will cooperate. And they won't. What the floof, horrible. I'm gonna have to go get a different pair of scissors for this video for sure. There is a nice secure connection knot. It's not gonna come apart. And now I'm just gonna reel the braid right on to the top of the mono. And there we go, simple as that. Full spool of line, ready to rip. I'm gonna thread this through the line guides and get the bait tied back on. All right, I got my line thread back through my line guides. And on this one, I'm gonna throw the new Catwalk from 6th Sense Fishing. It's a brand new bait that just dropped. If you haven't seen this, go check out my previous video where we did the unboxing. I broke these baits down, told you a little bit more about them, read everything on the back, and talked a little bit about how this Catwalk is different from the Dogma series. Cat, dog, alone in the world as a little cat dog. Tomorrow, I'm gonna try out this brand new bait. So that is what I'm gonna tie on here. This is the Spanish bone color, one of my favorite colors from the 6, and I'm gonna use a Palomar knot to tie this. Once again, I'm not really teaching you guys how to tie fishing knots. There's so many videos out there on that already. Palomar knot is a good knot to use when you are tying straight braid. This is, God, I did it again, dude. Tried to use these scissors. I'll be right back. I'll get some different scissors. All right, got me some good scissors. Fisker scissors, these are awesome. I have some jugular pliers out on the boat that are also awesome, and 6th Sense has scissors, but like I said, they're all on the boat. So I'm grabbing these Fisker scissors, which I also really love for use around the house and here in the garage. Some of the best. They will cut this braid no issue, so I had to go grab those. Like I was saying, Palomar knot is a really good knot to use that will not slip. You're tying straight braid onto your baits. If I'm fishing braid to a topwater, chances are it's gonna be with the Palomar knot. And there we are, the new Catwalk from 6th Sense Fishing, rigged up, brand new braid, and a brand new monofilament backing on the Lux Series 6-foot 9-inch medium moderate fast. And that right there is going to be setup #1 for tomorrow's mission. All right, let's move on to the next one. I also want to mention really quick, the 6th Sense also has rod sleeves. That's right, these are the nicest rod sleeves that I've ever used. A little bit different design from all the net stuff that you're used to seeing when it comes to rod sleeves. these right here, super premium heaters from the Six. And as always, just as a reminder, any of the stuff you see me using or talking about in my videos, available on sixcentfishing.com, and you can save 10% off by using my code JR10 for the win. JR10 at checkout, 10% off everything on the website, including these awesome rod sleeves, and they have all sorts of really cool colors as, these hooks are so sticky. They have all sorts of really cool colors as well. I like these teal blue ones. They also have royal blue, camo, black, gray, green, pretty much anything you want, they have it. Check out sixcentfishing.com, and if you are compelled to purchase anything, make sure you save money by using that code JR10 for the win. All right, on to the next one. All right, next up I have the 7.2 medium heavy, moderate fast MFer rod, and I'm kind of going back and forth in my head on what to throw on this puppy. 15-pound fluorocarbon, 7.2, medium heavy, moderate fast. Be a good option for a chatterbait. I'll throw a chatterbait on here. It's getting so hot in my garage, dudes. All right, setup number 2 for tomorrow. 7.2, medium heavy, moderate fast. It's gonna be good for swim jigs. I think this is gonna be a good swim jig option, but I'm not gonna tie on this one because I'm gonna put this one on the sensory. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna throw a crankbait on this thing, man. Why not? That's what I'm gonna go with, man. Ghost Bone Minnow Crush 50X. Let's see if they'll eat a crankbait tomorrow. I always like having a crankbait on deck, and I think this 7.2 medium heavy moderate will be a good option for throwing that. Maybe not the most prime option, but it will be a good option, not a bad option. So since I've already got my 6.9 tied up with the top water and the braid, I'm gonna try the 7.2 medium heavy MFer on this Crush 50 right here and see how she does, man. And there we go. Fishing gear is so cumbersome and it's so easily tangled and it's discombobulated. Like if you just breathe on it, everything is tied in a knot and tangled up. So, and there it is, man. Setup number 2 for tomorrow. The MFer series with a Crush 50X and Ghost Bone Minnow 15-pound monofilament line SLX DC reel. I don't know how well this rod is gonna work for this square bill crankbait, but I'm gonna try it out anyway. You won't know until you throw, so that is what I'm going to do. And we'll see how this works, man. We'll just see how this works and take her from there. But being honest, that rod might be a little bit on the heavy side for that Crush 50, but we're gonna find out together. Next up, I wanna tie on a swim jig. But before we get into that, did a little Q&A on my Instagram, asked you guys to submit some questions, and then I went through the comments. Something I saw several people ask was what kind of crankbait is your favorite and what kind of rod would you use to throw it? So absolutely, my favorite crankbait is the one that you just saw me tie on, the Crush 50. The Crush 50X or S square bill crankbait from 6 Cents Fishing. S being the silent version, X has rattles in it, both the same size and weight, and you can throw them both on the same rod. I would recommend the first rod that you saw me rigging up in this video to throw that, the 6.9 medium moderate, or if you want to try out what I'm going to try out tomorrow, that MFer Series 7.2, maybe a little bit of a heavier rod to throw that bait, but we're going to give it a whirl anyway. But that would be my suggestion. Crush 50 is my favorite starter crankbait. It's the crankbait that I started out crankbait fishing on, the bait that I caught the most fish on when it comes to crankbaits, and the 6.9 medium moderate is an ideal rod for throwing that size bait, honestly. So yeah, if you guys are looking to get into crankbaiting, consider picking up one of those medium moderate action rods and a Crush 50. Go out there and whack them. You just want it to be a moderate action rod, whatever it is. You don't want to be throwing a crankbait on a super fast tip. You want a lot of bend in that rod. You want it to have a nice moderate action, and you don't want it to be too heavy of a power. So that's my answer on that. Next up, this rod right here is the Sensory series from 6 Cents, 7.3 heavy, and according to 6 Cents, this is the rod that was specifically designed for throwing the Divine swim jig. So that is what I'm gonna tie onto this one. If you guys have been watching my channel for any amount of time, you know that I absolutely love to throw a swim jig. The Divine swim jig from 6 Cents is my favorite swim jig. It is the first bait that I ever purchased by 6 Cents. Started using them and instantly fell in love with them. Love the screw lock system, caught a ton of fish. After that, I went and picked up my first Crush 50 that I just mentioned before, and it was over with. I fell in love with their baits, started collecting them, getting as much as I could, using them all the time, catching a ton of fish on them, having a ton of fun, and the rest is history. You guys know the deal. I now have an incredible relationship with 6 Cents Fishing. They're huge supporters of what we do over here on the channel, so big thanks to them. Could not do a lot of what we do without 6 Cents, so I encourage you guys to support them if you are interested in supporting me or the channel. 6 Cents Fishing, using my code JR10. That's a great way to do it. Need to move the spinning rod. Ah, dang, we're just knocking stuff off everywhere, man. Fishing gear is so cumbersome, I swear. All right, speed wakes down. So, like I was saying, sensory series made for the Divine swim jig, and that is what I'm going to tie on here. They say that's what it's for, that's what I'm gonna use it for. I'm gonna put it to the test. So here we go. Pro Green Divine swim jig smoke. There that is. On the sensory 7-foot, 3-inch heavy action rod. There's a look at the swim jig setup for tomorrow. Shimano Corrado DC sensory 7.3 heavy, 3/8 ounce Pro Green Divine swim jig with a Kitech on the back of it. Have a lot of new Divine swim bait colors that I'm gonna be utilizing, but this Kitech is still good, so I'm gonna roll with that for now. All right, we're ripping and rocking along. There's 3 setups down. We're gonna get into the next one here in a second, but we'll go ahead and answer another question. Somebody asked me, how do you get sponsored to fish? That's actually a tough question. Kids these days, they see stuff on social media, and a lot of times people don't show you the whole picture, especially in a business sense. But basically, and I'll be honest, a lot of you probably aren't gonna like this answer, you have to work really, really hard. It takes a lot of work to get to a level to where a company will actually want to work with you, let alone pay you to fish. So it's through straight grind, hard work, passion, commitment to what you love to do before any of that other stuff comes. You have to really love what you're doing, and if you're just doing it to get sponsored, chances are you're not gonna make it. So a little bit of backstory. I've been making videos since 2014, guys. I've been doing this for years with no sort of sponsorship, no sort of support from anyone but myself, and it is extremely tough. It's harder now ever than it was to grow any sort of social media presence. Companies want you to pay so that people will see your posts, and it's just becoming more and more difficult to blow up. Everyone thinks they're gonna start a channel, and then a month later they're gonna have all these sponsors and all this money flying at them, and it's just not the way it works. First and foremost, you have to love fishing. You have to love fishing, and you have to love creating fishing content. And I can wholeheartedly relate to you guys that I absolutely love what I do, and I have loved what I do long before I ever had any opportunity, long before I had any company ever wanting to work with me. The only company that I work with currently is 6 Sense Fishing. They are the only people that have ever given me a real chance, a real shot, the only folks that have ever wanted to put any real energy behind me and this channel. I've been approached by a bunch of companies, a bunch of big name companies offering me deals or sponsorships or pro staff positions, and I have turned down more than you guys would believe. I have deleted so many emails and declined so many offers. I'm sure you guys would probably call me an idiot for doing some of the stuff that I've done and for saying no to some of the people that I've said no to. I'm talking about big names. I've only done things that feel right to me. I only tell you guys to support companies that I support myself. I would never tell you to shop somewhere, buy something that I wouldn't buy with my own money. And a lot of people don't have that same integrity. A lot of people don't care what company it is. They just want some free stuff. That ain't me. I absolutely love fishing, and I love making fishing videos. And I believe that is why I've got to where I am. And I believe that is why I got the attention of 6 Sense Fishing and why they were willing to work with me, because they saw that it's all passion, it's all grind and hard work, and I'm gonna do the work regardless. Sponsorship, no sponsorship, big company or no big company, I'm gonna be out there fishing, filming, and failing upward on YouTube all on my own, with or without. So that's the deal, man. The truth is, if you wanna do this full time and you wanna make this a real thing, you're gonna go from working 40 hours a week at a regular job, 40 plus hours, to working 80 plus hours a week. You're gonna go from working 5 days a week to working 7 days a week. It is a non-stop grind. From sun up to sundown, I'm doing something that has to do with my fishing content, my content creation, the business side, responding to everybody on social media, replying to comments, getting back to everybody in the DMs, posting pictures on Instagram, making sure that I'm generating enjoyable, unique content for you guys. It is a non-stop grind. So how do you get sponsored? How do you get a company to start putting energy behind you? You have to work really, really hard. You have to love what you're doing. You have to do it relentlessly with no expectation of a sponsorship, no expectation of money, none of that. You just have to love it. And I truly believe that's why I'm starting to see a glimmer of success now, is because I've done those things for years, literally. Go back through my channel, watch all the old videos. This channel has been here since 2014. It's 2020, 6 years later, and I'm just now hitting 10,000. It took me forever, but I never let it stop me. I never let it kill the grind. I kept the dream alive, I kept the hope alive, and I knew that if I just worked hard stayed after it, and showed nothing but passion and love in my videos, then good things would happen. I believe good things will come out of hard work. That's it. So that's what it takes. Those are my thoughts on getting sponsored, if that's what you want to call it. You know, everybody out there is trying to do the same thing, so chances are it's not going to happen. You have to get into it for the pure love of doing it, and that's what I did. And that's why I think so many of you have chosen to hop on board and ride with me, because you can tell that, you know, this is real, this isn't fake. I'm not putting on for the cameras. I am who I am. I speak to you guys from the heart, from the soul, and I tell it like it is. And that's just what it is. It's a lot of hard work, and it just takes an insane amount of energy to make this successful. So keep that in mind. If you're thinking, hey, I want to do that, just know that you're going to work really hard, harder than you've ever worked at any job. You're going to put more energy into this than you've ever put into anything else. That's what I do. That's what it takes. And there you go. That's the answer to that question. How do you get sponsored? Well, chances are you don't. And even when you're sponsored, that doesn't mean you made it. That doesn't mean, you know, it's all good. You still have to work really, really hard. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. If you're enjoying the video, man, sub the channel, help us hit this 100,000. That's a goal. I set big goals, lofty goals, high aspirations, big dreams, and I chase them. And I'm willing to do whatever work is necessary to achieve them. Let's get off into the next setup. Hope you guys are enjoying the video. Next up, I have another sensory series rod over here, and I need to get this thing rigged up with something. 7 foot 4 inch medium heavy. It's got an SLX DC on it with some 15-pound fluoro, I believe is what this is. And I need to get her going. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure what I want to tie on here. I don't know. What are we gonna put on here? Put the line through the line, God. Constantly rigging, constantly thinking about fishing and fishing content. Fishing, filming, and failing upward on YouTube. 3 F's. You guys know the deal. So on this sensory 7 foot 4 inch medium heavy rod, I'm gonna have to do some thinking, man. What do you guys think I should tie onto this one? Texas rig might be the way. You know what, dudes? 3/8 to 3/4 ounce baits is what they recommend on this bad boy. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie on a hybrid jig. That's right, this right here is a little green pumpkin blue magic 3/8 ounce hybrid jig from 6 Cents Fishing. Heaters only. So an up close look at that bait. And I'm gonna take one of these watermelon candy stroker craws that we opened in the last video. I'm gonna cut just a little bit off the butt. About like that right there. Give it a little bit more of a compact profile. And then I'm gonna use that as my jig trailer. Thread her on, out through the center, boom. And there it is, dude. That right there is gonna be the jig heat for tomorrow on this 7 foot 4 inch medium heavy sensory rod. I think that's a good option. Have us a nice jig to throw on the bottom. And there she blows. All right, and there is the jig heat for tomorrow. SLX DC, Sensory Series 7 foot 4 inch medium heavy rod, divine hybrid jig with a stroker craw as the trailer. I think that's gonna work well. What do you guys think? Go down below, let me know in the comments. All right, next up, I'm excited to get this one rigged up, and I bet you guys are gonna be excited to see me throw this next bait. This is the 6 foot 11 inch medium heavy moderate fast action Lux series rod from the 6. I can't wait to break this out tomorrow and use it with the bait that I'm about to tie on. One of the new heaters from the 6, the other new heater from the 6 from my previous video. You guys already know. You already know what it is probably. I'm about to tie on a speed wake. Super excited to throw this bait. This is that live shiner color. Incredible color from the 6. Heaters only, you know the deal. Look at that thing. Extremely excited about this bait. Technically, this rod is for baits up to 5/8 of an ounce, and this is a 7/8 of an ounce bait. So I'm not telling you that this is the right rod to use for this wake bait. It might not be, but as I talked about in the last video, I'm waiting on fluorocarbon to arrive for my other reels, my other rods, and this is what I've got rigged up right now. So I'm gonna roll with this, the 6'9", medium heavy, moderate action. You want a moderate action rod for these wake baits, I think. I'm still learning about this stuff, but yeah, that's what we're gonna go with. 6'9", medium heavy, moderate action, Corrado DC, speed wake from 6 Cents Fishing. Can't wait to throw this, man. Also have the new MF spinning rod right here. I'm gonna go ahead and take my spinning reel, my one spinning reel that I own. This is a Shimano Sahara C3000. I don't know much about it, just know it works well. does what we need it to do. That's what I'm gonna throw on this Milliken spinning setup. Get her cinched down there. Get her cinched on down there, bud. You get to go under the bail with your line. So I've got some, I think 10-pound braid, 12-pound braid to 8-pound fluorocarbon on here. About a 10-foot leader. Going to be tying on a weightless fluke for now, because that is what was on here before, and that is what I have here in front of me. That could change. Might end up putting a Ned rig on here or something, but I'm hoping to not even have to use this thing tomorrow. So fluke goes back on. And that is that. Spinning setup, fresh fluke, braid to fluoro, ready to go. It's frog time. We got one more setup to do. This is the 7-foot, 5-inch, extra heavy, fast action, pretty much broomstick Lux series rod from the 6 with the brand new Shimano Corrado K on there. Never used this reel before. Excited to get out there and put it to the test, and I'm gonna spool it up with another monofilament backing to straight braid for this Vega frog right here. Let's do it. All right, got my backing on there. Same process as before. Open up my new box of V2 Power Pro here. Tie my Alberto knot. Now on with the rest of the braid. Let's tie this Vega frog on and wrap up this video, man. I know this thing is getting long. Sorry I didn't answer a bunch of questions, just answered a couple in this one. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I can't wait to get back out there on the water. Tired of filming here in the garage. Maybe you guys can tell from this video, I'm not quite as energetic. I'm pretty done with sitting here in front of the tackle wall. I'm ready to get back out there on the boat, do some fishing. But I'm just using another Palomar knot here to tie this Vega frog onto this straight braid once again. Same process as before. Done and done. 7.5 extra heavy fast action Lux series with the new Vega frog from 6 Sense Fishing. Hopefully I can get bit on this thing tomorrow. Extremely excited about this bait and the speed wake that you saw me tie on earlier. Been thinking a little bit more about that, and I think I might have it on the wrong rod. It might be a little bit too light of a rod to throw that speed wake. Might have to make some adjustments. Oh well, just pointing that out now before you guys call me out on it. It's all good. We can adjust on the boat if we need to, but I think that's gonna do it for this video, man. This is a long one. Just rigging up some stuff. Also have the new SLX 6.3-to-1 DC reel that we opened in the last video. I'm gonna rig that up on one of the big swim bait rods and hopefully have that fluoro soon so we can throw some swim bait stuff on those bigger, heavier setups. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little rod rigging video. I know it's not too exciting, but just wanted to show you guys what I'm getting geared up with for tomorrow's mission and let you guys hang out with me here in the garage, answer a couple questions, give you my thoughts behind on what it takes to do this full time. I'm nowhere near the level of some of the other fishing YouTubers out there, but I am coming in hot. Best believe, like I said, I have big dreams, big goals, high standards for myself, and I'm not stopping anytime soon. From 10,000 to 100,000, let's grip and rip our way there and get that silver play button. Subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you guys on board with what I've got going on over here. 6sensefishing.com for any of the rods, baits, my shirts, hats, everything that you see me wear and use in my videos, all available on that website. And one of the best ways to support is to use that code. Save yourself some money if you choose to purchase anything. JR10 at checkout, 10% off your entire order. Also, I highly encourage you guys to go down below into the video description, read around, and look at some of the other ways that you can support the channel. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you're all staying safe, sane, and healthy out there in this crazy world that we live in. But that's gonna do it for today, and I'll see you on the next one.